Wow, my hair is super flooftacular today. Let's just run with it. Is it too late? Is it all over? Is Etsy done for? This question has been asked many times over many years, and maybe one day the answer will be yes. But today, I'll let you make up your own mind. Today, I want to talk about the pros and the cons of having an Etsy shop. Now, if you want to sell handmade goods online, Etsy is probably the first place you think of. There are other options. You can set up your own website. There are other venue platforms you can sell on, absolutely. And some people do very well selling in those other places. However, Etsy still is very much the platform people think of when they think of handmade and buying handmade, especially in the US where it is based. It's part of the zeitgeist. People have heard of Etsy and know of Etsy, and if they think, oh, I want to buy something handmade, that's probably where they go. Now, if you've been around for a little while, you may be aware that Etsy is not just handmade. We have vintage, we have supplies, and there is a lot of stuff these days that skirts the line of what handmade really means. You can design something and get it made in a factory. You can design something and get a print-on-demand company to make it for you and ship it for you. So the line is very blurry these days as to what handmade really is. But that being said, there are plenty of us like me out there who still do make our own products and send them ourselves, and Etsy is potentially a great choice for where to set up shop online. So let's talk about the pros and then let's talk about the cons. The first pro is the most obvious one and the reason why most of us go to Etsy, and that is the built-in traffic. Etsy has millions and millions of customers and millions of sellers these days. It has a huge built-in user base of people who are interested in what you might potentially be selling. And a lot of them will just go to Etsy and search Etsy rather than searching the web itself. So if you're not on the platform, you obviously can't get the sale. And it's unlike a lot of these other places where you would have to drive all your own traffic. If you figure out how to work the Etsy algorithm, and I have lots of videos on that, I'll put one up here now, then you can be successful purely through just listing your stuff on Etsy and getting seen by the search algorithm. This is very attractive to people like me who aren't huge into social media. Pro number 2 is it's simple to use. It's simple to set up. It's simple to get going with. Not as simple as it used to be. And that being said, if you do ever want some help with that, I'm launching my Set Up Shop course that I've been running for over a decade now, where in 30 days, I'll teach you everything you need to know to set up a successful and stellar online shop for your handmade goods, whether you're selling on Etsy or anywhere else. If you're interested in that, I'll put a link in the description below and you can go check that out. If you miss this live run of the course, I do run it twice a year, so make sure to head to that page and pop yourself on my mailing list. And subscribe to this channel, of course, so you don't miss when I run it again in future. So more on this point of it being simple. A lot of people, when they think about going to set up their own website, it seems overwhelming and scary. Whereas Etsy, they guide you through the whole process. There's not a lot of tech stuff you have to do or know about. So it is kind of one of the simplest options. Number 3 is it is cheap to start. There are no subscription fees. There's no sign-up costs. The only fees you have to pay to start are your listing fees. So that's a small fee, depending on where you are, it'll be slightly different. That's a small fee for every item you list on the platform for sale. And then when you sell it, that's when they take a cut of your profits, and that's where they make the bulk of their money from those fees at the other end of the transaction. So if you're just starting out, it's a great option because you don't have any massive outlay at the beginning like you would if you bought your own domain, set up your own website, had a Shopify shop, for example. It's a good way to test the waters. So you can do some customization on your Etsy shop. You can customize your banner, you can customize your logo, you've got a picture of yourself in the shop. Obviously your photos are going to be the biggest thing that will brand your shop. But apart from that, there's not a lot you can do. But it does have some customization options there to brand your shop a little bit and make it feel like your business. Another pro with Etsy is there is a lot of free content out there to help you get set up. I've got a heap of it here on my channel. Just look at my Etsy playlist, on my podcast, on my blog, and there's plenty of other people out there sharing free content on how to set up pretty much any aspect of an Etsy shop that you could possibly think of. So you won't get stuck when it comes to figuring out details. Hopefully you can just Google whatever problem you're having, and chances are someone like me has done a video or written a blog post that will help you solve the problem. Another pro is trust. People who already have an account with Etsy They know that they'll be okay. If something goes wrong with a transaction, they'll be able to get their money back. They'll be able to get some sort of remuneration. They have a lot of trust in the platform. Whereas when somebody's going and buying from you from your own standalone website, some people may be more hesitant to do that because they don't have that backing of the corporation behind the transaction to protect them if something goes wrong. And finally, Etsy has some pretty useful analytics that if you have your own website, you have to figure out how to set all that stuff up and learn how to use it. Whereas on Etsy, it's very well integrated with the whole platform, and you can look at the detailed breakdown of every single product in your shop, see what keywords people are using to come through and find those products, which will help you with your keyword research. So the analytics section is something that is really, really useful on the platform as well. All right, so we've talked about the pros. Let's now talk about some of the cons. Now, if I missed any pros, please let me know in the comments below. And same goes with the cons. If there's something you can think of that I haven't put in this list, let me know in the comments below. All right, let's get on with this. The first one is high competition. So there is high competition for the customers, for those sales. Now, that being said, the thing I always remind people about this when they make this claim, oh, there's too much competition, my market is saturated. Yes, those are issues, but if you're selling just on your own website, that's even worse because you're competing with the entire internet. You're not just competing with the people on Etsy, and you're still competing with the people on Etsy. You're also competing with everybody else who has their own standalone website selling the thing that you sell, including people who really aren't handmade, even though they might say they are. So that is kind of a bit of a furphy, really, because no matter where you sell, the competition is always going to be there. Maybe if you sell like at a market, sure, you've got less competition in that market on that day. So that might be a way forward for you, or in boutiques, for example. But if you're selling online, you're always competing with the whole world anyway. Another con is that, let's be honest, there are a lot of resellers and actual handmade products on the platform now. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of print on demand. There's a lot of people getting stuff made in factories, designing it themselves, getting it made in factories. And that is in accordance with the rules of Etsy. It's allowed, so you just have to accept that that is allowed. There are, of course, also resellers who are just totally breaking the rules by buying stuff from like Alibaba or something like that and then selling it directly or even drop shipping it on the platform. Those people, if they get caught, will get shut down. But that being said, there are also the non-handmade people that you are competing with on the platform itself. So that can be stressful and it can be frustrating because you're like, I am the one who designs this. I make it with my own hands in my own home studio. I sell it, I send it out. And what I say to that again is you need to make it really clear. So in everything that you do, in your marketing, your branding, in the words, in the, the descriptions in your shop, show people that you are a pure hand maker. And if you're not, if you're one of these people who are doing print on demand or factory creation or whatever, lean into the design side of things and really, make it clear you are the designer of the products, because some people will be suspicious that you are actually just a reseller if you're not, showing photos of you making the thing yourself with your own hands or videos of you doing that. But if you do want to lean into that real handmade side of things, then putting that stuff out there is really useful because it will tell people and show people that you are an actual genuine artisan. Another con with Etsy is dependence on the platform. Now, this can be a big problem for some people. If you don't follow the rules of Etsy and they throttle you, they put a reserve on your shop. To be fair, they'll put reserves on a lot of new shops that haven't done anything wrong these days. So don't freak out if that happens to you. It doesn't necessarily mean you've done something wrong. It might just mean you're a new shop. They put a reserve on you to make sure you're not a fly-by-night scammer and they aren't going to lose money. But people do get their shop shut down. And then if that is your entire livelihood, if you're 100% dependent on Etsy, then you're going to be in trouble. So this is why I always recommend, if you're just starting out, sure, open an Etsy shop, start with that. But if you decide to take this seriously and you actually want to make some sort of decent real money out of it, I strongly recommend you set up your own website as well. And I would recommend you actually start directing all your marketing efforts to your own website and let Etsy bring you the traffic on Etsy. That's what you're paying them for. And along with this goes the rules. As I just mentioned, there are strict rules about what you can and cannot sell on the platform. Your products might not be in line with the rules. And if that's the case, then you do take the risk of being shut down. So you're better off starting your own website instead. And a final con, let's be honest, Etsy does not have a great track record with customer service for their sellers. It's often impossible to get anybody to talk to you. It can take days, if not weeks, for them to get back to you and sort out problems. So it's not great when it comes to customer service and support. A lot of people have had big problems with this in the past. I've certainly had my fair share of little issues with them over the years. And, if that's something that bothers you or that worries you, then that's something to consider. But again, let's think about, okay, if I've got my own website set up, who is my support? So make sure you know what the deal is with customer support on your own website platform. There are other things you have to think about. Oh, this is a pro I totally forgot to put in, so I'm going to slip it in there now. There are things when it comes to running your own website that you may not realize exist until you do it. One of those things is security, okay? You've probably, especially if you're here in Australia, you've probably heard a lot of stuff about, all the cyber attacks and blah, blah, blah that happen. And you might think, yeah, that happens to big companies. It also happens to individuals. I have had my websites hacked, I think 3 or 4 times since I started my business back in 2008. I pay a company a retainer every year to protect me. So what happens is I pay them a yearly fee. If my website gets hacked, I can contact them and they'll fix it straight away for me. It's worth the fee, but it's a fee you might not realize that you have to pay. When it comes to Etsy, they take care of all that stuff. They take care of the website security. They take care of the payment processing security. You have your own website. You have to pay for secure website, HTTPS website, so that you can take payments, things like that you may not have ever realized you had to set up if you have your own website. So all of that sort of tech stuff that will cost you more money that you might not have factored in, you have to think about those things as well when it comes to running an Etsy shop versus your own website. So what do you reckon? Is Etsy going to be the choice for you? Is it somewhere that you're happy with, or do the cons outweigh the pros? Now, if you do need help setting up a shop online, remember my course, Setup Shop, is happening very soon. I love running it. Over 1,400 makers have used this system, and it is a step-by-step system to set up their own online shops for their handmade goods. Link is below in the description. So I would love for you to come and join me for that. I love running this. It's a live course, so you'll get to interact with me. I'm there every day asking you questions, answering your questions. We have a couple of Facebook Lives during the course. It's super fun. And if you do the course and follow it step by step, you will end up with a stellar online shop by the end of it. And of course, if you want more help with Etsy here on my channel, make sure to subscribe and check out this playlist, which is full of videos about how to set up and how to run your Etsy shop. Thanks so much for watching this one. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.